It's 14:20 on the 18th of August 2025. In the South China Sea, a U.S. Virginia-class attack submarine erupts from the water inside a Chinese carrier group. Sirens cascade across decks, boots pound steel. Radios crackle in Mandarin and English. On the bridges, officers freeze for a beat as scopes paint a friendly hull where none should exist. Destroyers swing to screen the carriers. Helicopters spin up. Missiles are saved but ready. The sea holds its breath. One wrong move turns shock into shooting, and everyone here knows it. Water sheets off the sail. The American flag snaps wet in the wind. Chinese lookouts shout ranges. Fire control chiefs mark bearings. Captains demand confirmation. Aboard the sub, the bridge team stands exposed, hands visible, while the hull hums and ballast vents hiss. Across the formation, guns track, safeties click, and 100 cameras record history at knife range. Engines idle, fingers hover over triggers, and every ship waits for the order that could start a war. In the South China Sea, shipping lanes stretch for thousands of miles, carrying fuel, food, fiber optics, and the chips inside your phone. A single blockage here raises prices back home and rattles markets abroad. The U.S. Navy sails these waters to keep them open. Chinese warships patrol to claim them. Pilots log close passes. Captains file protests. Each quiet day could flip in a heartbeat. For Washington, the mission is simple but heavy. Keep commerce moving and keep promises to allies. If that slips, insurance spikes, ships reroute, and store shelves thin. For Manila, Tokyo, and Hanoi, American presence means breathing room to trade and fish. For Beijing, pushing U.S. forces back would prove the balance has shifted, that new sensors, quiet subs, and long-range missiles can hold the line without firing a shot. That is why today's shock matters. A Virginia-class submarine surfacing inside a Chinese carrier screen is a message wrapped in spray. We can get here, and you didn't see us coming. It tests nerves, reflexes, and stories each side tells at home. If the sub walks away clean, Washington looks confident and capable. If the Chinese force it down or box it in, Beijing looks steady and in control. No one wants the first shot, but everyone rehearses it. History underlines the risk. Near Okinawa in 2006, a Chinese diesel boat surfaced close to USS Kitty Hawk and stunned observers. Budgets and pride shifted after that. Incidents like these don't stay local. They echo in capitals and on every chart that prices risk at sea. Your take, right now, shapes the debate. If you think the U.S. was right to make this move, press 1" the comments. If you believe China will press harder until the next encounter turns lethal, hit 9 and subscribe so you don't miss the moment when this standoff finally breaks. 14:27 minutes after the dramatic surfacing, scopes across the Chinese formation bloom with blips, drones, helicopters, and wave skim echoes. Voices stack on headsets. Officers snap orders. Destroyers wheel outward, building a hard ring around the carriers while radars rake the sea for the American hull. Inside the Virginia, the crew rides the edge. Countermeasures are loaded but held. The sail stays up by design presence, has pressure yet it makes them exposed. Each ping could mark the start. 14:29. Helicopters claw into the humid air, racing low to seed sonobuoys. A dotted line of splashes cages the sub's position. Onboard periscope video catches rotors flashing through haze. The message is obvious: you're tagged. The U.S. answers without firing. A nearby Allied frigate lofts a small surveillance drone, piping full-motion video and emissions data into the battlenet over the horizon. Extra eyes buy seconds, and seconds matter when misunderstandings kill. Chinese Type O-52D destroyers press closer, tubes open, crews in vests braced by rails. The carrier group lengthens its spacing to reduce one-shot risk. A frigate slices past the bow of the American boat, loudspeakers blasting warnings in Mandarin and English. The submarine answers with steady silence and tight helm. 14:32. An Arleigh Burke destroyer far to the south locks sensors on the Chinese screen, ready to cover if shots start. A burst of U.S. Jamming muddies, targeting radars, and data links fog on demand, forcing manual checks and slowing any fire order. Jamming buys time by reducing weapon accuracy. Plumes puncture the surface. Training charges, not war shots, but close enough to rattle nerves and cameras. Spray sheets over gray decks. The implied line is plain, next time it might not be practice. Still, the submarine refuses to dive. Pumps hiss. The flag snaps in gusts. By standing tall, the boat keeps the initiative. Every Chinese ship must watch it, not the horizon, the ring stretches. Sensors are split between sky, sea, and one stubborn intruder. For now, restraint holds. No missile smoke, no torpedo wake, but radios thrum, bearings update, and the geometry tightens. Everyone here knows this was only the first move, and the board is already shifting. 1438. The first wave passes, but the pressure does not ease. Several Chinese drones slip through gaps in the jamming field, buzzing low above the sea. Their cameras fix on the American submarine, relaying its every move. On board, sailors tense the enemy's eyes are inside the perimeter. A Type 52D destroyer angles hard, launching a helicopter armed with lightweight torpedoes. Its shadow sweeps across the deck of the sub before veering wide, daring the Americans to blink first. The submarine commander resists, holding position but shifting ballast slightly, turning the bow a few degrees to narrow the target profile. Even tiny angles matter when torpedoes can travel faster than sound in water. 1441. Defensive systems aboard a nearby U.S. destroyer roar to life. Phalanx CIWS turrets spin, radar dishes track every drone, and warning bursts of 20 millimeters fire tear into the sky. Shells explode in white arcs, shredding two of the intruders, but others keep circling, relentless. For every drone destroyed, another appears, cheap and expendable. Chinese frigates join the encirclement, pushing closer, searchlights sweeping across the waves as if to blind the submarine crew. The standoff feels tighter by the minute. U.S. sailors grip rails, watching screens flicker with contacts, each dot a potential weapon inbound. 1444. More drones dive low, skimming wavetops. U.S. forces answer with electronic bursts, frying circuits mid-air. Explosions splash down in spray, but still a few make it through, buzzing overhead like angry wasps. The sound gnaws at nerves, constant, unnerving, designed to wear men down before a single shot is fired. Both sides know the truth. If just one drone survives long enough to mark coordinates, a real strike could follow within minutes. That weight drives every decision. The submarine edges toward deeper water, ready to dive if the first missile arcs out of a Chinese tube. The Chinese tighten their screen, determined not to let the Americans slip away without consequence. This is the razor's edge. Who yields, who fires, who miscalculates. And right here, you decide if you think the US should hold steady under pressure. Hit 1 inch the comments. If you believe China's swarm tactics will eventually break through, press 9. Subscribe so you're here when the moment of truth arrives. 1450. Just as US crews think they've stabilized the swarm, new blips appear smaller, faster, hugging the surface like sea skimmers. These aren't the bulky drones already circling. They are kamikaze craft built to overwhelm defenses. Harder to track, harder to kill. Alarms rise again. The submarine commander knows tactics won't hold. He calls for help from an allied destroyer on the edge of the fight. Its deck erupts with launches short-range interceptors designed for speed. Contrails streak upward, meeting the first attackers. Fireballs roll across the horizon, mirrored in the waves. 1452. But the threat is relentless. Dozens more appear, slipping between radar sweeps, darting low, dipping in and out of clutter. The Americans adapt. The submarine tilts, narrowing angles. Nearby escorts swing turrets, laying down belts of fire. Tracers carve arcs of orange across the sea. Even with precise shooting, several drones break through. One slams into the water yards from the hull, a geyser spraying high. Another is shredded at the last second by close-in guns, debris raining across the deck. The message is chilling. The next could hit. 1455. The commander authorizes a final layer of defense. Portable launchers fire from the destroyer's rails. Shots streak out, knocking 2 drones from the sky. But the pace is exhausting. Every intercept burns thousands. Each attacker costs Beijing far less. It's an asymmetric squeeze, plain for all to see. The twist is clear. The battle has shifted. This is no longer detection, but endurance. Can costly US defenses keep pace with endless cheap strikes, or will volume finally crack the shield? The crew braces as the next wave closes in. 15-2. The last wave surges in. Smaller, faster, tighter in formation. Chinese drones skim feet above the waves, weaving through spray. Radars scream with clutter. Screens blur with overlapping returns. This is the strike meant to break through. The American commander wastes no time. Engage. Close-in weapon systems roar. Gatling barrels spin into a blur, spitting hundreds of rounds each second. Tracers rip across the sea, slicing drones mid-flight. The horizon flashes with fireballs mirrored in dark water. 15 hours, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds. The submarine vents ballast, canting the hull to shrink its profile. A decoy blooms, dragging seekers away. 2 drones veer off and detonate harmlessly. 15-3. Yet one slips past. Sirens blare, crew braces. A streak bears down on the sail. An escort CIWS swivels, firing a deafening burst. Shells connect. The drone explodes yards short, debris clattering off steel. The sub rocks hard, spray crashing over the bow. Another dives low. A shoulder-fired missile arcs from the destroyer's deck, slamming the target in a blinding flash. Cheers echo, but only for a second. The fight isn't over. Every crewman knows one miss equals disaster. 15-4. Damage control teams sweep for shrapnel. A railing bent, paint scorched, a sensor cracked, but the boat is fight-capable. Across the ring, a Chinese helo dips sonar, hunting for signs the American will dive. 15-5. The final drone zigzags through tracers. Guns hammer, but it keeps coming. The submarine holds steady. At the last instant, a defensive burst meets it head-on. Explosion. Silence. Smoke drips. The sea is clear. 15-6. The radio net goes still. Then positions shift. A US destroyer slides to cover. Combat air patrol angles in, and the submarine noses toward deeper water. The Chinese screen widens, wary of torpedoes. Helos pacing the edge. Every move dares the other to misread intent. The crew exhales. Adrenaline shakes hands, but the ship stands. The Chinese strike has failed. For now, the Americans own the moment. Now it's your call. If you believe US defenses proved unstoppable, press 1. If you think China's waves nearly cracked the shield, hit 9 and subscribe so you don't miss how this standoff evolves. 15-20. The sea is quiet. Smoke drifts across waves, broken only by the hum of helicopters and destroyers repositioning. The US submarine remains surfaced, battered but unbroken. Its presence alone forced the entire Chinese carrier group into a defensive crouch. The result is tactical but symbolic. No US vessel was lost. No shot from China struck home. Yet the fight revealed the imbalance both sides knew. Beijing can launch cheap systems in waves, while Washington spends thousands for each intercept. Defense works, but at steep cost. For US allies, the survival of the submarine proves America can still stand in the most dangerous waters. Manila, Tokyo, and Canberra see a shield they can lean on, for now. But they also see warning signs. China's tactics are evolving, and clashes are rising. Insurance firms factor risk into shipping rates. Merchants whisper about rerouting. Strategists wonder how long this balance can last. Beijing too finds pride and caution. Its new tools rattled US commanders, proved they could saturate defenses, and showed numbers can test even advanced navies. Yet failure to score a hit will sting. Media may claim victory, but officers know they must refine tactics for the next exchange. For Washington, the lesson is sobering. Every fight forces choices about cost, endurance, and credibility. If swarms can drain magazines and budgets, how will fleets cope when missiles or hypersonics join in? The answer will shape the next decade of naval power. Tonight, the US submarine has held. The sea lanes stay open. Allies breathe easier for now. But all know this was just rehearsal. The next clash could bring more drones, more missiles, or a strike from shore. Crews log damage, bag fragments, and freeze every frame. Tonight's data will rewrite procedures before dawn. Now it's your turn. If you think America proved it can still dominate these waters, press 1. If you believe China's swarm tactics are the future, hit 9. And subscribe, because the next episode will show what happens when the waves double and the first missile finally leaves its tube.